Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Godfather, a novel by Mario Puzo. The novel begins with an undertaker, Amerigo Bonacera, who is watching a judge suspend the sentences of two men who savagely beat his daughter. Furious, he decides to seek true justice from Don Vito Corleone. In a Los Angeles hotel, celebrity Johnny Fontaine drunkenly strikes his second wife, actress Margaret Ashton, for cheating on him. But he cannot bring himself to hit her beautiful face. His voice and career failing, Johnny takes his problem to his godfather, Don Corleone. Meanwhile, Nazarone, a New York baker, wants to prevent his employee Enzo from being deported back to Italy. The baker knows that only Don Corleone can help her. It is August 1945. The godfather, Don Vito Corleone, the Sicilian American boss of the Corleone family, one of the mafia's five families that dominate organized crime in New York City, is hosting the wedding of his daughter, Connie Corleone, at his lavish Long Beach home. Also attending the wedding are Don Vito's sons. The hot tempered Sonny Corleone sneaks off to have sex with his mistress, Lucy Mancini. Fredo Corleone, the middle son, dutifully mixes with the wedding guest. Don Vito's youngest son, the World War II hero Michael Corleone, sits with his non Italian girlfriend Kay Adams. The Don has amassed great wealth and power through his control of criminal rackets such as gambling and extortion. He is therefore a man of respect to whom people come seeking extra legal justice and other services in exchange for pledging their everlasting loyalty to their godfather. The Don meets with Bonacera, Fontaine, and Nazarene. He agrees to solve their problems but chastises Bonacera for his foolish faith in the legal system. Later that evening, Don Corleone visits his dying consigliere, Jenny Abendando, in the hospital. When Genco passes away, the Don appoints as new consigliere his adopted son and lawyer Tom Hagen. Don Corleone sends Hagen to convince Hollywood film producer Jack Waltz to cast Fontaine in his new picture. Waltz refuses because Fontaine stole his trophy girlfriend. In retaliation, the Don's henchmen sever the head from Waltz's prized racehorse and place it in his bed. A horrified Waltz gives Fontaine the part. The Don also sends his caporigim, Peter Clemenza, and his soldiers to beat the two men who assaulted Bonacera's daughter. Don Corleone's political contacts, whom he keeps on his payroll, then prevent the deportation of Nazarene's helper Enzo. After Connie's wedding, Don Corleone meets with Virgil the Turk Soloso, a heroin dealer, allied with the Taglia family, who offers a large profit incentive if the Corleone family will use its political connections to protect its drug distribution ring. The Don declines to get involved because he believes drugs to be a dirty business that would scare away his political allies. The Don is suspicious of Soloso, so he sends his enforcer Luca Brasi to spy on the Turk. But Soloso and Bruno Tattaglia, the son of the leader of the Tattaglia family, Gerard Brasi, in a nightclub. At Christmas time, Michael and Kay are on a date in New York City when Michael sees a newspaper heading proclaiming that his father has been shot. Spurned by Don Corleone's refusal to join his drug operation, Soloso pays off the Don's bodyguard, Paul Gatto, to betray his boss. Soloso then sends assassins to hit the Don, but they fail to kill him. Afterwards, Soloso kidnaps Tom Hagen and demands that he ensure that Sony, the now acting Don, makes a deal with Soloso over drug distribution. Soloso then attempts to kill Don Corleone in his hospital room with the help of Mark McClexy, a police captain on Soloso's payroll. Michael foils the second assassination attempt by bringing more guards for his father. Clemenza and his soldier Rocco Lampone killed the traitor Polly Gatto in his car. Michael then develops a plan with Sony, Hagen, and the Capo regimes, Clemenza and Sol Teso, to murder Soloso and McCluskey to prevent more attempts on Don Carlone's life. Michael meets with Soloso and McCluskey in a restaurant where he retrieves a pistol stashed in the bathroom and shoots the other two men. Michael then flees to Sicily to evade murder charges. Johnny Fontaine is attempting to sleep with the young actress Sharon Moore, but she rebuffs his advances. A dispirited Johnny then reconnects with his ex wife Virginia and their two daughters before Tom Hagen offers Johnny a film production deal backed by Don Carolone. Johnny agrees to the deal to please his godfather and invites his former musical partner Nino Valentine to join him in the venture. Johnny and Nino record music and produce several films, but Nino grows disenchanted with the debauchery of Hollywood life and descends into alcoholism. A flashback follows Vito Carolon's rise in New York criminal underworld. Born Vito Andolone in the town of Carolone, Sicily, the adolescent Vito flees to America after the local Sicilian mafia boss murders his father and brother. In America, he changes his last name to Carolone and works in the Abandando family's grocery store in Little Italy. Vito eventually collaborates with the young Tessio and Clemenza to hijack merchandise from delivery trucks and resell it at a profit. When Don Fanucci, the neighborhood black hand, gets word of Vito's activities, he threatens violence if Vito and his partners don't give him a cut of the profits. Rather than pay Fanucci, Vito murders him, establishing himself as a man of respect whose fearsome reputation precedes him. Vito performs favors for people who profess their loyalty to him, and he raises a family with his wife, Mama Caroline. He becomes rich bootlegging alcohol during Prohibition, then forms an olive oil importing company and uses his crew of soldiers to force competitors out of business. Vito operates his legitimate businesses as fronts for his growing crime empire. He helps to organize the other mafia organizations into 5 families that control specific territories, thereby assuring peace in the underworld and his own position as the most powerful mafia don in New York. The novel returns to where it left off in 1947. Kay Adams is working as a teacher in a native New Hampshire. Michael has been gone for 2 years and she must fend off questions from police detectives who are investigating his connection to the murders of Soloso and McCluskey. Back in New York, Carlo Ricci constantly beats his wife, Connie Caroline, because he thought the Carolines would make him rich and all they gave him was a lowly bookmaking job. Carlo's abuse of Connie invokes Sony's rage, and one day Sony beats him mercilessly in the street. Knowing that Sony will not kill his sister's husband, Carlo refuses to fight back. Meanwhile, the Carolone family is at war with the 5 families over the murders of Soloso and McCluskey. As Don Carolone returns home from the hospital, the family adds extra security to his large estate known as the Mall. Fredo moves to Las Vegas to work the family's casino business, while Sony, Hagen, Clemenza, and Tesso go to the mattresses and continue to battle the rival families. The novel flashes forward. The undertaker Bonacera is having dinner at home when Tom Hagen calls on him to perform his service for Don Carolone. Bonacera goes to his funeral parlor where Don Carolone arrives with the bullet-ridden corpse of Sony. The Don asks Bonacera to make his son's body presentable for an open casket funeral. The novel then shifts back to the present where Sony's bloody fight against the 5 families has left many casualties but has not ended the war. Tom Hagen disapproves of Sony's tactics but cannot interfere because Sony is the acting boss while Don Carolone recovers from his injuries. One evening, Connie answers a call from one of Carlo's mistresses. She confronts him and he angrily beats her again. She then calls Sony to ask for a ride to the mall. Sony becomes enraged and drives to Connie's apartment by taking the Jones Beach Caseway. When he stops at the toll booth, the car in front of him blocks him in, and the toll taker pulls out a gun and shoots him. Two gunmen emerge from the blocking car and shoot him again. When Sony's bodyguards arrive at the scene, they call Tom Hagen, who calls Carlo to tell him that he and Coney will move to the mall, where Carlo will have a more prominent position in the Carlone family. Later that evening, Hagen informs Don Carlone that his eldest son is dead. The Don forbids any acts of vengeance. Don Carlone organizes a peace meeting with the heads of the five families as well as the heads of the families from across the country. At the meeting, Don Carlone advises the other bosses to come to a reasonable agreement in order to stop the war and spare more bloodshed. He insists that drug trafficking will destroy the mafia because it will chase away the political allies who view it as a dangerous and illicit business. He reminds the other dons that most of the children work in legitimate society as personovanci, that is big shots, and that moving away from criminal enterprise is a less violent and destructive path to take in the future. Don Emilio Barsini and Don Philip Tartaglia demand that Don Carlone must share his political connections to give protection for the other families who want to deal in drugs because the business is too profitable to ignore. Don Carlone reluctantly agrees to do so on condition that the other families promise they will not retaliate against Michael for the Soloso and McCluskey's murders. The other dons agree and Don Carlone adjourns the meeting. The Don returns to the mall and tells Hagen that he plans to semi-retire and that the consigliere should prioritize bringing Michael home safely from Sicily. Don Carlone now knows that Barsini was allied with Soloso and Tartaglia all along and that he must ultimately be dealt with if the Corleone family is to retain their power. Meanwhile, Lucy Mancini has been living in Las Vegas for a year since Sony's death. There she meets Dr. Jules Siegel, the handsome physician at the Corleone family's casino hotel. They begin dating, and Siegel learns that Lucy has a condition that interferes with her sex life. He tells her that a Los Angeles surgeon he knows can fix her up with a simple surgery, and Siegel's concern makes her fall in love with him. He then reveals that he performs abortions on showgirls, many of whom Fredo Carlone impregnates. A few weeks later, Dr. Frederick Kellner operates successfully on Lucy. After her surgery, Lucy greets Johnny Fontaine and Nino Valentine. Siegel hears Fontaine's raspy voice and convinces a stubborn singer to let him examine his throat. Siegel finds warts on Johnny's vocal cords and suggests a surgeon who can remove them. He also warns that Nino's alcoholism will soon kill him. A month after Lucy's operation, she and Siegel are engaged to be married. The novel goes backward in time. Michael Carlone has been hiding in the town of Carlone, Sicily. He is staying at a villa owned by the local mafia boss Don Tomasino and Tomasino's uncle Dr. Tassa, both of whom are friends of Don Carlone. Michael spends his days learning to read Italian and walking amidst the beautiful Sicilian landscape with his shepherd bodyguards Carlo and Fabrizio. One day while hiking the fields, Michael comes across a beautiful peasant girl named Apollonia and immediately desires her. He goes to her village where he convinces Apollonia's father, Signor Vitali, to let him marry his daughter. The wedding, however, alerts Michael's mob enemies to his whereabouts, and a car bomb meant for Michael kills Apollonia instead. Now that his enemies believe him to be dead, Michael returns to America. He reunites with Kay and the two marry. Michael, however, now plans to succeed his father as Don of the Carlone family, and he wants Kay that she will not be his partner in life and cannot ever ask about his family business. Michael decides to close all of the Carlone family's Eastern business corporations and move to Las Vegas to invest fully in casinos. In Vegas, he meets Fredo, Lucy, Fontaine, Nino, Siegel, and casino magnate Mo Green. He gives Siegel a job in a new hotel and makes Green an offer he cannot refuse to buy Green's share of the casino. Green, however, does refuse. Meanwhile, Fontaine's new films are a big success, but Nino ultimately drinks himself to death. Michael returns to New York and plots a master plan with Don Corleone to settle all family business by murdering the Corleone's enemies. Michael also tells Clemenza and Tesso that they can form their own New York families after the move to Las Vegas, but they must stay loyal to the Corleones until then. Don Corleone dies one morning in his garden. After the Don's funeral, Michael sets his master plan into motion. His men kill Mo Green, Don Barcy, and Philip Tartaglia. Michael then has Tesso murdered, who he has figured out was plotting against him with Barsini. Finally, Michael has Clemenza Garretto Carlo in a car for betraying Sony to Barsini's hitman. With his wife mafia rivals dead, Michael now formally succeeds his father as Don and restores the Corleone status as New York's most powerful mafia family. Kate threatens to leave him when she learns that he had Carlo killed, but Hagen convinces her that the murder was in a family's best interest. She converts to Catholicism and moves to Nevada with Michael and their two children. Before the move, however, Kay spends her remaining days in New York praying in church for her husband's eternal soul. And here ends the novel. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.